2018. Vlog number 224. Yeah, 13th. Forgot what day it was. Yay, Monday. Fun times. So, I learned something new last night. I didn't even know. It's always good to learn something new every day, if you can. Did you know that back in World War I, that soldiers from New Zealand, of all places, fought in that war? I get it. It was a world war. They called it the Great War. And it was wide-reaching. But I'm like, I had no idea anybody really from that part of the Southern Hemisphere fought in World War I. Because I like to read it up on like Twitter or something. Like, oh shit, we gotta go fight in this war. But they did. And there was one particularly grueling, I guess, event, skirmish, what do you want to call it? Where these soldiers from New Zealand were on this peninsula in Turkey fighting. And it was harsh. It was harsh fighting. Of course, fighting back, especially, war is never clean or war is never not harsh. But back then, it was especially grueling. I found out about this because there's a museum in New Zealand. Has all kinds of things in it, but they have an exhibit out now. Actually, it's been out for a couple of years, and I didn't know this until I just saw it. Where they kind of pay tribute to these soldiers, which was pretty neat. And what was cool about the exhibit, though, is that most of the things in there were kind of set up and designed by Weta. Now, if you remember Weta Workshop, that is kind of like the premier special effects place for, they're known for a lot of movies, but especially Lord of the Rings. That's where they kind of rose to fame. They were around for longer than that, but they especially did a lot of good work for Lord of the Rings and some other movies and stuff. But they do other things, apparently. They do all kinds of things. But this museum exhibit that they had was stunning. Because what they did, they kind of, other than having the actual artifacts of the war, guns and stuff, and medals and clothing and all kinds of things from the war that you can see, history of the people who were there. They also had these dioramas. And the dioramas kind of depicted, kind of like a story of, this particular battle, I guess, or parts of the war. What was cool about it is it weren't just it wasn't like a small diorama showing just small soldiers. It wasn't even a life-size diorama. No. This was a 2.4 times the size diorama. So they had these soldiers in these super, everything, all kinds of detail, but 2.5 times bigger than a normal human. So they were larger than life, literally. And you can they were so up and close and personal. You could go all the way around them, in the exhibit and kind of see the grit, the dirt. They even had to sculpt the fingerprints of these people, stubble in their face. They had to put, by hand, little hair stubbles. And then I watched the making of this place, and just the whole detail of it. The little cuts in the hand, scrapes, scars, dirt, grime, blood stains. And just that was what awed me. But I can imagine actually just being there, just going to this museum, and you have this like overwhelming weight from these larger than life figures that look like, frozen in time, like a moment in time, realistic as possible. There's people. There's one where a soldier's like shooting a gun. He's like, and like you see the expression in his face where he looks like he's emotion is there. It's not fake looking. Like if you see a picture of it, you think it's a photograph of a person. And technically, you could really say it almost is, because what they did, they had like all kinds of information about these real life soldiers, real names of these people, and they had all these information from them, pictures and backstories. They even talked to some family members. Of course, this is talking about World War I. This is over 100 years ago. And from like the photographs and any information they could find on them, what they did was they had a casting call for kind of lookalikes, people who kind of look like the people who they wanted to depict in these models. And what they did was they dressed them up exactly how they wanted to have them, and they had them like pose exactly how they wanted to have them in the dioramas. And they took all kinds of high-res photos of them, 3D scans of them, and just all kinds of data about these models. They made them, look exactly how they're going to look when they blow them up. And so basically what they did, after they got them all scanned, they had 3D printed mock-ups come out, but they also had to make like clay sculptures in like these larger size, clothing immaculate, just not immaculate as in terms of perfect, but just clothing and the accuracy of the clothing, and had to make it look real on something that's bigger than, instead of just looking like kind of boring cloth or something. They had to make it look like it's a real uniform of these soldiers and whatnot. They sculpted them out super huge, down to the pores on their face, and just the lines of their face. Like when they had a nurse. And all the other people they sculpted were all males, except for one was a nurse. I guess was on a ship. They weren't allowed to be on the shores of where they were fighting and stuff. But she was on the ship, and she had her, they had her like kind of like sitting and crying, because I guess she got a letter, from a soldier and stuff. And this emotion in her face, you see like the lines in her face, and just like the wrinkles in her forehead when she's crying, and the detail was just so impressive, and just so arm hairs on guys, just everything pictured perfect. Those people that they know what the hell they're doing. That's for sure. They don't fool around. And I looked at that. I'm like, wow, I sure would love to go to that. Just kind of go there and just experience myself. Like, I never knew. Again, I didn't know that New Zealanders were even in the war, or in pretty much any war. I mean, who knows that New Zealand has their own army? I mean, I guess they did, but it's something you never think of. So, I mean, for me to just discover this and just see the irreverency, that they hold these soldiers about this battle, like how much they care. I want to go experience it for myself. I want to go to New Zealand and go to this museum and see it for myself up close and in person. The video, I'll link down below where I first saw it. It was on Adam Savage's YouTube channel, Tested, and very, very interesting. I freaking enjoyed the hell out of it. Like I said, I'll link it down below. I put a couple of pictures of what everything looks like in here. I'll take some screenshots. But The only unfortunate thing, though, is I would look. There was a link to like the website to discover more about everything. I'll link that below too. The museum, this museum part was open like in 2015, but it looks like it's only going to go till like April of 2019. So unless I make plans to go to New Zealand within the next like less than a year, I'm not going to see it. So that's going to suck. Hopefully they keep it up for longer. I don't know. But again, this whole thing that they had, it kind of made me feel like emotional. Like that's the way they presented everything. I was like, oh, you feel like the weight of war. And it just, war's terrible. No matter what era you're in, no matter who you're fighting against, what you're fighting for, the war itself, the fighting itself, is terrible. And it's not something I wish on anybody. But somebody has to fight wars, because there's always going to be wars. We're never going to get away from it. No matter what kind of ideology we have, no matter how connected we all get, someone's going to fight over something. That's human nature, I guess. That's kind of somber thought for today. Anyway, I think that's all I got for today. Check out the links below, please. Definitely check out this information about these New Zealanders and what they had to go through in this museum. It's very cool. If you like history, if you like things like that, you'll find it interesting. So I'll talk to y'all later. Everybody have a good day, and I love you.